The Brunswick father and son who admitted killing an unarmed man have been denied bond.
I won't be satisfied till everybody involved.
After months of cries for justice and national headlines, the men were finally arrested yesterday. Rallies continue today in support of the arrest and the Arbery family on what would have been Ahmaud Arbery's 26th birthday.
Live, local, now. The news starts right now with breaking news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Bond has been denied for the two white men who shot and killed an unarmed black man in Glynn County. WTOC crews have been in Brunswick all day following the very latest on the investigation. We begin with our Right Gas Away.
Dawn, it has been an emotional few weeks for this Glynn County community as they try to get national attention on this case. They finally did a couple of weeks ago, and now there have been two arrests made. The writing was on the wall earlier this week when the GBI took over the case, given the very public statements from the governor and the GBI director. Now, two men are in jail.
The bond in that case will be set at all by the Superior Court judge.
A judge officially denied bond for Gregory and Travis McMichael this afternoon. The former law enforcement officer and his son are charged in the shooting death of Ahmaud Arbery. Graphic cell phone video led to a national uproar over the case and the fact that no one had been arrested. Earlier this week, the governor and the GBI director called the prosecutor on the case and asked if they could help. Director Vic Reynolds says no amount of social media pressure led to the charges.
None of that matters to the GBI. It doesn't matter who the person is. It doesn't matter who the victim is. It doesn't matter who potential defendants are.
Reynolds says all that matters are the facts and the law. In this case, Reynolds says the video makes it clear.
We applied the law to the facts in this case and came up pretty quickly with a solid belief that there's sufficient probable cause to charge the McMichaels with felony murder and aggravated assault.
The Glynn County Police Department handled the original investigation. The agency now faces renewed scrutiny over their willingness to prosecute people in the law enforcement community. The GBI can only investigate at the request of a local agency. Some say that should have happened much sooner. Reynolds agrees.
In a perfect world, would we prefer to have been asked to become involved in February? Of course. But sometimes it isn't a perfect world. So we have to deal with the situation as it's placed in front of us.
The agency has veteran agents working this case. Reynolds did not rule out more arrests, saying this about what his agents will do when the national attention eventually subsides.
And they're staying in this community. They're going to continue to work it, and they're going to go wherever the facts take them. If, in fact, the facts take them to make another arrest in this case, then they will do that.
Dawn, there is a lot to unpack here. The GBI can only come into an investigation like this at the request of the district attorney or the investigating agency. The Glynn County Police Department never made that request. Tom Durden, the prosecutor now over this case, is the one who made that request earlier this week. In his remarks today, the director did not make it seem like the GBI is working on this case now with the Glynn County Police Department. Instead, he says they took their investigative file and essentially started over with what the Glynn County Police Department had done. It's peculiar given the fact that the GBI normally works hand in hand with the original investigating agency. While the GBI director was addressing these arrests under the Sidney Lanier Bridge this morning, friends and family of Ahmaud Arbery were gathering at the Glynn County Courthouse where they were celebrating his life and also demanding that the district attorney in Brunswick step down. Now, Amanda Aguilar was at that rally today. Amanda, what a sight there today.
Well, right, Ahmaud Arbery would have turned 26 today, and people held balloons and they had signs wishing him a happy birthday. Today was the first time for many, especially those that never got a chance to know him, to learn about the kind of person that he was. Now, we heard from friends and family. They all say Ahmaud was a respectable young man, never left anywhere without saying, "I love you." And after sharing their memories of him, they held a balloon release and loudly singing happy birthday. And I was able to speak to Arbery's cousin on the phone today. He wasn't at the rally as he's been supporting Ahmaud's parents, but he says he'd like to see his cousin's life celebrated every day, whether that's through fundraisers, scholarships, even marathons. Demetrius Frazier says he just wants positive change to happen.
Ahmaud's tragedy may not change a lot that's going on in the world, but it would be the spark to the brain that changed the world.
Now, there is another balloon release scheduled for tomorrow. That's at 1 p.m. The public is invited to that as well. That's going to be held at Sidney Lanier Park in Brunswick. Right, back to you.
Amanda, thanks for that. I, for one, was certainly impressed with the number of people there, thousands of people there outside the Glynn County Courthouse. Amanda, thanks for that. It's important to note here, there's a lengthy timeline. This shooting happened back in February, on February 23rd. Part of the reason people are so fed up is that they felt like this arrest should have happened much earlier. So the shooting happened on February 23rd. The prosecutor now on the case is a man named Tom Durden. He is in the Atlantic Circuit located there in Hinesville. He got the case on April 13th. Then fast forward to May 5th. That video leaked out early that morning. And then later that morning, Tom Durden said he would, in fact, take this case to a grand jury. That same day, the governor saw the video, the attorney general saw the video, the GBI director saw the video. All of them shared disgust at what it showed. The GBI director reached out to Tom Durden and said he wanted to be involved in the case. The district attorney then did make that formal request. Fast forward to yesterday, May 7th, and Greg and Travis McMichael were arrested by the GBI and by sheriff deputies at their home last night around 8:30, according to those arrest warrants. Now, we have gotten some more details about the second prosecutor involved here. The district attorney in Brunswick, Jackie Johnson, recused herself the day of the shooting. George Barnhill then took the case in Waycross. Jessica Savage is now breaking down that recusal letter he sent to the attorney general. Jessica, what is the AG's response, and what does that letter say when he did recuse himself?
A lot of the criticism in this case has been about District Attorney George Barnhill of the Waycross Judicial Circuit. Now, he was the DA who received the case by appointment after the DEA in Brunswick recused herself because of a conflict. Now, for the first time, we have a look at why he, too, stepped away from the case. Here's what Barnhill said in his recusal letter to the Attorney General. He has a son that works for the Brunswick DA, and unknown to him until about 3 to 4 weeks ago, his son handled a previous case that involved Ahmaud Arbery. Now, Barnhill also pointed out that Greg McMichael, one of the men being charged, who has been charged in this case, helped prosecute Arbery in a previous investigation. Now, Barnhill also said in that letter, quote, a local rabble-rouser took up the cause of Arbery and was spreading false information and calling for him to be removed from the case. And last night, in response to that public release of that letter we just read you right there, a spokesperson for Georgia's Attorney General Chris Carr sent this statement that reads in part, it has become clear to our office that the appointment should not have been accepted, and it is appropriate that he is no longer involved in the case. Now, the Attorney General has since appointed District Attorney Tom Durden in the Hinesville Judicial District. He has the case, and he is the one who requested a grand jury review and the GBI's involvement this week.
Jessica, the GBI director, a man named Vic Reynolds, was appointed by Governor Brian Kemp earlier in his tenure, and he's got a unique position. He was a prosecutor in Metro Atlanta. If there were 50 questions at that press conference this morning, I would bet 90% of them focused on that letter, the rabble-rouser statement, the fact that George Barnhill thought this shooting was justified, which Reynolds says very plainly it was not. In his opinion, it was clearly a probable cause there for a crime to have been committed. So, once again, a lot of those questions focused on that letter sent by Barnhill, but Mr. Reynolds really tiptoed around it. He refused to, I would say, straight on ridicule what Barnhill said. He said he could not speak to what Mr. Barnhill may or may not have seen, only that the evidence to him seemed to suggest there was a crime of felony murder committed here. We've got the breakdown on this website, on WTOC.com. We've got the latest in this case. We've got the information about the first appearance here by the McMichaels, as well as all of the letters you've seen referenced from Mr. Barnhill, as well as a timeline for you. We've also got that reaction from Arbery's family and friends, as well as from the GBI director. Dawn, there is a lot to watch for in this case. There will be a lengthy trial moving forward as it goes to a grand jury, and then if it is indicted, to a trial. So a lot of attention will be focused here in Glynn County, not to mention the GBI is still investigating, calling this still a very active investigation. Dawn?
And so many people are interested in this case all around the world, so a lot of people will be watching this. But we now turn to another tragic story out of Toombs County that we're following. Police there believe a pack of wild dogs attacked and killed a local doctor. The body of Dr. Nancy Shaw was found in a ditch early Thursday morning. Bureau Chief Dal Kennedy talked with investigators who say the death touches the community.
Lyons police tell me the autopsy results confirm what they already suspected, that this known physician and noted pet lover died at the hands of animals police are now trying to find. Police spotted a car on Skyline Boulevard around 3 a.m., pulled over on the wrong side of the road, the car running and the door open.
Got out to investigate and subsequently found a female that was deceased in the ditch.
They recognized the woman as Dr. Nancy Shaw, longtime internist at Meadows Regional Medical Center. The chief said she'd often stop at the police station and check on officers to make sure they were okay.
She was just that kind of person. She was just a caring person, and she was a friend of ours. And so when I realized who it was devastating.
The chief says police are working with other city departments to locate the pack of roaming dogs and take appropriate action. In Lyons, Dow Kennedy, WTOC News.
Next, mayors around America say their cities are in financial danger and want the federal government's help.
A lot of clouds, temperatures still into the 70s right now. We're going to see some of those rain chances increase a bit for the evening hours. We'll have your full forecast coming up at about 6:18.
And before we go to break, here's a look at the latest COVID-19 cases in our area. In South Carolina, 7,367 cases with 320 deaths reported today.
Savannah police confirming this week the man they believe shot and killed a 17-year-old mother was arrested at a Garden City hotel. The U.S. Marshals Service Southeastern Regional Fugitive Task Force, with the help of several police units in Savannah, found 25-year-old Rashawn Paget and charged him with murder and aggravated assault. Sean Evans first heard from the family of the victim Wednesday and has their reaction.
It was mid-February this year when Savannah police released that they believed Rashawn Paget was the person responsible for shooting and fatally wounding Alexis DeVoe earlier that month near this intersection.
Just a few days after the death of their daughter, Alexis's parents were telling us they believed she was in the wrong place at the wrong time, not the intended target, when she was shot near the intersection of West 60th and Montgomery Streets. Her father also said he believed Alexis died shielding her 5-month-old son. About 10 days after her death, Paget was identified by police as the suspect, saying he was wanted for murder. We later learned Paget was also wanted in a separate incident, an armed robbery, by Savannah State University police. Nearly 3 months to the day of her death, the man police are charging with DeVoe's murder was arrested and booked into the Chatham County Detention Center. I spoke with Alexis's mother, who says her birthday was on the same day of the arrest, and news of that was the best gift she could have ever asked for.
It's crazy how at 6 o'clock that night, the detective called me and said, "Hey, I got some good news for you. Rashawn has been apprehended." I just dropped to my knees like, "Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus." It just made my day. That's like the best birthday gift I could have got. I'm mad she's not here. I'm upset. I cry every day. But the fact that it's something that we can see, some kind of light coming to the situation, it's like gives us some kind of breather of hope.
A grand jury indictment on the charges Paget faces will have to wait until a judicial emergency is lifted in Georgia. In Chatham County, Sean Evans, WTOC News.
WTOC Jamie Casino traffic tracker in Springfield. We're in the northbound lanes looking southbound, and usually don't see this kind of traffic southbound, but Effingham County Sheriff's Office and EMS on scene of a 2-car crash. Wrecker is there taking one of the cars away, but the other one looks pretty banged up, with EMS checking out the driver. Just a quick view of the maps where this is. We do have a slowdown at the bypass here on 21, so just take it easy, and that's going to take maybe 10 extra minutes heading southbound. And if you don't stop and look, you're easy peasy going northbound.
Well, Congress has approved billions of dollars in coronavirus relief money, but not much has gone to local governments. Mayors tell our national investigative team they need federal help to keep their cities running, although not everyone thinks that should happen. Here is Lee Zurich with tonight's COVID-19 tracker.
These days, Union City, Georgia Mayor Vince Williams rarely takes his hat off.
As many of us, we haven't had the opportunity to go to the salon or the beauty shop, so certainly it has been my bad hair day cap.
But the cap that hides his unkept COVID-19 hair comes with a message.
And certainly we've got to make sure that we reach to our federal government to let them know that it is time for all of them to put their thinking caps on.
He wants federal leaders to think about cities across the country losing out on critical tax revenue during the pandemic.
You think about your quality of life, where you live right now. It's not Washington that does that. It's your local government that does that. And if we have to start having a conversation about stripping away some of these services or minimizing them, that is going to put a huge impact on what a city continues to look like in the future.
Some federal lawmakers have been hesitant to send money to states to plug budget shortfalls.
If we're focused on dealing with the coronavirus crisis, fine, but it shouldn't be an excuse to bail out states for irresponsibility and fiscally reckless policies.
But the National League of Cities says over the next 2 years, cities will need a total of $500 billion in federal aid to plug coronavirus shortfalls.
We are being accused of needing the help to backfill our inadequacies, if you will, to be able to operate our cities. And that's so far from the truth. All cities must each and every year have a balanced budget.
For example, Lexington already faces an $11 million deficit. Cincinnati, $100 million. The mayor of New Orleans wants to take out a $100 million loan.
How long are these sales tax revenues going to be down? The longer they're down, the greater the impact is for the city of Albany.
Albany, Georgia is a coronavirus hotspot.
This is not something that's been brought on by fiscal mismanagement. This is a pandemic which will affect local governments just like it's affected businesses.
Mayor Vince Williams is more direct. He says federal leaders need to put that thinking cap on and help cities.
And if you don't get the money, are taxes raised or people laid off?
And those are things we will have to look at. Some of my colleagues around the country are already doing that.
Some cities have already furloughed workers. For example, Dayton, Ohio has furloughed nearly 500 employees, which is 25% of its workforce. Well, still ahead, want to give you a live look outside, checking out the beaches. Beaches in both states have reopened. Later, we're going to tell you what you should know if you plan on seeking the sun this weekend. Chief Meteorologist Dave Turley also has your Mother's Day forecast coming up next.
What a great way to end the work week here. Started out with temperatures right about 50 degrees, made it up to 80, no precipitation in the forecast today for right now, and we're still seeing these temperatures holding into the mid to upper 70s from most areas, even still a few 80s from Hinesville, Jessup into the Waycross and Brunswick area. And I think we'll see these temperatures cool down a bit. By midnight, we're talking about some upper 60s with still a little bit of a breeze out of the west-southwest. By daybreak, those temperatures getting back in the low to mid 50s from most areas. So a little cooler start out there as we begin it tomorrow morning from what we're going to see in here over the next couple of days. Fair and Fair First Alert Live radar dry now. That was the sea breeze moving through parts of Beaufort County. We are looking at some showers back to the west out ahead of the next cold front. That'll be racing into the area overnight tonight. And by the time it gets here, not a lot of moisture with it. So a lot of clouds will be advancing in here as we go hour by hour. There we are at midnight. Maybe a few sprinkles moving on in here through about that 3 to 4 o'clock hour. Then after that, quickly going to be clearing out from north to south. And that means by the time you really wake up tomorrow morning, 6, 7, 8 o'clock, I think we're going to see a lot more sunshine. And temperatures should get back in the low to mid 70s. So there's the cooler weather behind that cold front coming up for our Saturday. It'll be a dry day. Rain chances down across northern Florida. And I think they're going to stay down to our south for Mother's Day. We'll have to watch that one closely. Computer models are suggesting a cooler start, though, for Mother's Day. Maybe some 40s out there for the inland areas. But nice in the afternoon, a mix of sun and clouds. We are going to see temperatures getting only in the low to mid 70s for your Mother's Day, as it'll be below average. But we do warm things up there on Monday. And then another cold front moves through Monday morning. That'll be a dry front, bringing in some cooler air Tuesday briefly. But then it's 80s for the rest of next week. We'll be back with more of the news after this commercial break.
Here's a live look at Hilton Head Island from our Stokes Toyota Hilton Head Skycam. Beaches are opened up last weekend for the first time this season, and even more visitors are expected to come this weekend. Our crew on the beach today found out many visitors are from out of town, some spending the weekend from Tennessee. Hilton Head leaders have asked visitors from other states to stay away, but many just didn't get the message. Two locals said while the beach wasn't as crowded as they thought it would be, they were shocked at how many people were actually there.
It's definitely less crowded. There's a lot of cops out too, just to make sure no one's getting together. It's less crowded, but there's a good bit of people out here.
Well, and people are social distance. I mean, everyone's 6 feet apart, so we weren't worried about it.
The Beach Patrol is on the sand today, making sure everyone stays safe and follows all the rules. Let's take a last look at our traffic, though, Jamie.
We're in Springfield on 21. We're looking northbound as you're seeing the southbound traffic slow down for a two-car crash, and that second vehicle on the wrecker right now with the other car/truck with the other wrecker. So it looks like they're maybe another 30 minutes before they'll clean this up and everything's clear.
All right, thanks a lot, Jamie. You all avoid that area if you possibly can. Come on back for the news at 7. Good night, everyone.